often makes their cases much worse. Not hardened criminals, not repeat offenders. It is smart, successful people like engineers, teachers, other young professionals who have everything to lose when they are accused of domestic violence. Why? Because they think that if they just explain what happened, the police or the DA will understand. But the truth is, in domestic violence cases, most people don't get arrested because of what they did. They get arrested because of what was said. And even after they've been arrested, many people keep trying to clear things up, thinking that that must be the key to making the whole thing go away. Let me show you how that backfires and what to do instead so that you do not ruin your career, your reputation, and your future. My name is Veronica. I'm a domestic violence criminal defense attorney, and I help people throughout the entire state of California put their cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. Okay, so let's jump right in. This video is about why, even after you've been arrested, talking to the police or the DA without a lawyer can seriously hurt your case. Let's start with a reality that I have seen again and again. When I used to handle serious felonies, gang cases, gun charges, murder cases, those clients knew not to talk. They stayed silent. Often the police didn't even bother trying to interview them because they knew that it wouldn't go anywhere. But now that I focus exclusively on domestic violence cases, it is the opposite. People talk, they want to explain, and I can't count how many times I've had a client say, I just wanted the police to understand, or I thought if I explained it, they'd see that I didn't do anything wrong. Now look, it is totally normal to feel panicked, ashamed, or desperate to fix it. But that desperation is exactly what the system can use against you. So let's get into an example to illustrate exactly how this can play out and make your case much worse even after you've been arrested. Jen and Ben are arguing. The police show up and Jen has been crying. Her face is puffy. Neither of them gives a statement, but the officers assume based on Jen's puffy face, puffy eyes, that she has a black eye. So Ben gets arrested. Now, after he bails out, they are both shaken and they feel like there's been a huge mistake and they think that they made a mistake. They think that maybe if they had talked, if they have explained, then this wouldn't have happened. So they try to fix it. Jen writes a long letter to the DA explaining that yes, they were arguing, but nothing physical happened. She asks them to drop the case, but it doesn't work. The DA refuses. So Jen writes another letter. This time she says their relationship has been rocky at times, but she loves Ben and she doesn't want him charged. Then a detective calls Ben. He thinks being honest will help. So Ben says they were arguing. The detective then presses him, who was the aggressor? Ben dodges it. He tries to explain that there was no aggressor, but eventually says, if anything, she was aggressive. Now the DA has something that they didn't have before. A confirmed argument, a documented rocky relationship, and a statement that one of them was the aggressor. That's enough. They filed charges against Ben. And at that point, Ben finally calls a lawyer. He realizes that maybe he can't handle this himself. He explains what happened the night he was arrested. The lawyer listens and he says, they've got nothing. The case is weak. But then Ben mentions the letters and the call with the detective. And the lawyer, someone who's seen it all, goes silent. He then says, changes everything. We've got a long road ahead. And they probably do, or at least a much longer road than they would have had if Ben and Jen had not contacted the DA or the police themselves after the arrest. Here's the truth. Once you've been arrested, anything you say afterwards, especially if you're trying to clarify or smooth things over, all of that is evidence against you and can become the key evidence used against you. Even if you're trying to explain that it was self-defense, it's dangerous. For example, if you say, she hit me first, you've now admitted by implication that you hit her back or did something back. And depending on the facts of the case, you may have just admitted to using more force than was legally allowed, which means that it's not self-defense, and instead it's a misdemeanor or a felony. So what should you do instead? Tell your story to your lawyer, not to the police, not to the DA, and definitely not to the judge at arraignments that I've seen people try to do. Write everything down while it's fresh. What happened before, during, and after the incident. Then give that to your attorney. And I know that this advice can sound counterintuitive. It can be hard when you feel like if they could just understand your story, whether you tried to tell it already or not, charges would surely not go forward against you, but that is not how it works. Let me tell you about a real client with details changed. So he waited too long. By the time he called me, the DA had already filed charges. Now, the evidence was thin, but the alleged victim hated him. She was showing up to court, demanding that the DA go after him. And I had to work hard. I dissected the evidence. I highlighted the weaknesses. I pointed out the inconsistencies. I talked to the DA and focused on the positive steps that he'd already taken, like therapy and DV classes. And eventually I negotiated a deal. The classes that he had already completed would be enough and the case would be dismissed. That's a win. But when I told him, he looked disappointed. And I asked him why. And then he said, but when do I get to tell the judge my side of the story? And I had to explain. He didn't need to. I had already told it for him in a way that protected him, in a way that could not be used against him. If he had told the story the way that he wanted to, it would have sounded like a confession. That is the danger. I've represented everyone from teachers to tech professionals to doctors, people with everything to lose. And in those cases, the smartest move was keeping their mouths shut. So remember, never talk to the police without a lawyer. Don't give statements to the DA. Do not attempt to explain yourself to the police, to the DA, to the judge, unless it's through a lawyer. Do write down your side of the story and give it to your lawyer, and do be honest. Your attorney can only help you if they have the full truth. If you are facing this and you don't know what to do, don't panic, just reach out. I help people in your exact situation. Every day I focus my entire practice on domestic violence, and I can help you get through this. You can click on the link below to schedule a free consultation. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did find it helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and check out the other videos that I have on this exact topic, because this is what I talk about every single week: domestic violence, how to get through it, and how to protect yourself.